In today's video, I'm going to be kind of recapping the first week post ACL replacement surgery. So I had ACL replacement surgery Friday, April 26th, and I've kind of been laying in bed ever since. It's been pretty painful. It's a little worse than I expected due to some complications with the surgery itself and some unexpected problems with my knee that were worse than the doctor had planned for, which ended up resulting in more pain than expected and probably a longer recovery, unfortunately. I was already looking at a super long recovery, but I think due to some of the other knee issues that I had corrected at the same time, I think I'm looking at a really long recovery. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our latest adventures, including my current adventure of going through ACL replacement surgery. So during the ACL replacement surgery, I decided I wanted to address another knee issue that I've had for quite a while, and if you've watched any of our other videos, you've heard me talk about it, where hiking and biking and doing other certain physical activities resulted in me being able to not walk the next day. It was due to a patellar tracking issue. Basically, my kneecap doesn't track properly in my knee. And the doctor seemed to think that I really didn't have that big of a problem, but he would look at it anyway and do what they call a patellar release to allow it to float better in the knee and track more properly. He started on the patellar release and realized I had a lot of damage in my knee. And I'm sure this was from the number of years that I've been dealing with this issue and several really bad situations I was in where I had to pedal a bike like 10 to 15 miles trying to get back home when my knee just started completely acting up. I went on a hike to Kings Peak a couple years ago and got about 10 miles into the hike and was unable to walk and basically had to limp one-legged using my trekking poles to camp. Spent 3 days at camp and then had to hike back 10 miles out, not being able to really flex my leg at all and trying to keep it braced straight. It was awful. But I'm sure all those incidents, along with just daily use, just really wore on the knee, and probably should have had it looked at sooner, but it was one of those things that it wasn't bad enough to need surgery, I thought, but it turns out it might have actually been. So you're probably wondering what life is like post ACL replacement surgery. Well, it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I've pretty much been stuck in bed ever since. So again, I had the surgery on Friday, April 26th, and today is now Wednesday, May 1st. And I really haven't been anywhere besides the bed, the bathroom, and I've made it to the kitchen once. Up until Tuesday, Lindsay had been home with me the whole time, which was great and super helpful. She basically did everything for me. She would help me get in and out of bed. She would change the ice water in the little ice water pump that I have that's keeping my knee cool so I don't have to use ice packs. And she would take care of the dog and make sure Lexi was behaving and just kind of being an all-around wonderful nurse in person. And Tuesday was the first day I had to go several hours without her, so I had to actually get around by myself, had to grab my own lunch, which she kind of prepped for me, which helped a bunch. But I was able to actually do it, and it was good to know that I could. The only thing I can't do is I can't take care of Lexi. So we have some potty training pads that we use, kind of the puppy pads. And that way, if she has to go, she at least has a place that she knows she can go. But there's just no way I can safely make it down the steps by myself. I'm way too nervous about falling or injuring myself or just flat out not being able to get back up the steps, which would not be a good spot to be in. But other than that, I've been able to slowly get around a little better and things are progressing. So one of the first things I'd like to cover in this video is the narcotics and other medications that I was prescribed. So I was prescribed Norco, which is an opioid. Along with that, another medicine, I don't remember the name of it, I'll have to look it up and put it in a link in the description. That's to deal with basically nausea for after anesthesia. And I really didn't have trouble with nausea, thankfully. I was glad to not have to deal with stomach issues at the same time of the pain. But I was really against taking an opioid. But I knew I needed it, and everything that I've read and everybody that I've talked to has said, take the opioid the first couple of days, you're going to need it. It'll help you get through that initial pain. And then after that, you can decide if you want to continue on with it or not. So I did that, and I listened to everybody, and it did do its job. I got to say, I felt a little bit loopy when I would first take it, and it would make me a little sleepy. But, the pain definitely subsided after I took it, and I took it every 4 hours on the hour, set a timer on my phone, and really stuck to that interval, and it helped. And after the first couple of days, I was able to back it off to every 6 hours. And then eventually on Tuesday morning, I stopped taking it altogether and switched to an over-the-counter medication. So basically switching from a leave for part of the day to Tylenol and then back again, which I've heard is kind of good if you're going to be on those types of medications for a while, so it doesn't mess with your liver and kidneys too much. So one thing that the doctor really warned me about with the narcotic was that it will cause awful constipation, and man, he was not messing around. Basically, from the minute that I started taking it, there was nothing going on down there. I would work myself to the bathroom, and just getting out of bed and getting to the bathroom was super painful and hard the first couple of days, only to find out that I knew I needed to go and it just wasn't happening. Recommended I purchase some over-the-counter stool softeners and laxatives. I was taking those. I was drinking prune juice and apple juice and coffee and everything I could think of, and just nothing was working. So I was thankful that the pain was pretty well being managed, so I stopped taking the narcotics. Thankfully, things after about 12 hours started moving again, and what a relief it was. I was so glad to have that stuff out of my system and get my body working again, and just, you take it for granted, but man, when you can't go, it's awful, especially when you're already in pain. So I've never really used crutches before either, and that's been a big learning curve. I probably should have listened to the advice of others and got a set of crutches ahead of time and practiced on them a little bit. But I've been slowly, figuring it out and working my way around. Getting out of bed was really difficult the first couple of days. If I moved wrong, oh my gosh, it felt like somebody was just jabbing a knife right in the back of my leg. Since about Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, that's really kind of gone away. The only time I get a lot of pain now is, if I accidentally bump my foot or I try to move my leg too much in one go. It's like things just aren't stretching correctly yet, and man, oh man, it hurts. But in general, I'm able to move around pretty well, get in and out of bed okay, generally navigate the house in a pretty good manner and in fairly decent speed. So, the crutches thing has definitely come a long way, and you learn them quickly. It's kind of out of necessity. The one thing I would recommend, though, is that even if you're used to crutches, be super careful the first couple times you use them, and every time when you get out of bed. I sit in bed the majority of the day, and your legs kind of fall asleep, and so does the rest of your body. And when you go to stand up, you get a little bit of a head rush, you get a tingling sensation in your feet, and things might not be moving like you expect them to. So just be cautious of that and take it slow those first couple of moves on the crutches. And once you start to feel the ground and feel a little bit better, then you can start to pick up a little speed and move at a normal pace. So to try to deal with the constipation that I was talking about before, I relied on two over-the-counter medications anyway. So Miralax being a stool softener, which was something very easy to take, just mixes in any kind of liquid and you can't even taste it. You have no idea you're taking it. Also Senecot S, which is just an over-the-counter pill that you take, both a stool softener and a laxative. So the laxative part's good to help things get moving, and the stool softener is important and to make sure that once things do move, they come out easily. I know this is kind of a gross topic and I really don't like talking about it either, but it's something you need to be aware of. It's probably going to happen to you. If you have any type of major surgery like this and you get prescribed an opioid, you're going to have issues, no doubt about it. And it's probably going to be worse than you expect. I know it was for me, and just trying to give you a heads up and a warning, and make sure you start taking those pills immediately when you start taking the narcotic. Don't give it any amount of time because you need to get ahead of the problem. So again, having the surgery on Friday, it was nice because it gave me a few days to kind of recover before I had to go back to work. So I ended up taking off all day Friday for the surgery, which I ended up not having until late in the afternoon. But it was nice just to be able to get a few things done around the house, get prepped up, spend some time with Lindsay and Lexi, and then go to the hospital and get it all done. And then that gave me Saturday and Sunday to really get through the worst of it all. Saturday was awful. The pain was horrible, and I hope I never have to go through that again. Sunday got better, mainly because of the narcotics were in my system. But it was just so hard to move. I was so weak. And every time I did move, it felt like something was just yanking on the back of my leg and it was hurting. And I accidentally stumbled a little bit with the crutches and put my foot down, and oh my gosh, that hurt so bad. It was awful. But then Monday rolled around and, things started becoming a little easier. I was able to move a little better and I actually went back to work. So I'm really fortunate that I work from home. So going back to work meant I could literally work from the bed. So Lindsay set me up with my laptop on my lap and kind of cabled up everything that I needed. And I was able to start work again. A lot of people said, why are you rushing to go back to work? Take some time off. And I really didn't want to. I wanted to get back to work because I enjoy my job and I needed the distraction. Sitting here all day, every day in bed is killing me. I am a person that likes to be active. I like to do things. I like to, keep busy, and you can only watch so much Netflix and YouTube. It just gets old. So I was excited to get back to work and have something to focus on, and it just made the day pass by so much faster. Having the distraction of work, staying focused on a job and a task at hand, getting things accomplished, feeling like you're doing something, it just made me feel better and, took my mind off everything. And there was even at one point that I almost felt like I could just stand up and go. I totally forgot that I had this huge brace on my leg and was hooked up to this water pump. And, it took me a second to realize, like, oh yeah, I'm still really hurt and it's going to be a while before I can do that. But that distraction it was so nice. And glad to be able to go back to work, and working from home is such a huge benefit. I can't imagine trying to go through this and not being able to work from home, and how much time you would need to take off from work, and dealing with a short-term disability and potentially long-term disability depending on how bad everything goes. I just can't imagine that. I'm so fortunate to have the job that I have, and being able to work from home is one of the best things ever. So I do want to give a special thanks to Lindsay. She has just been absolutely incredible through this whole process. I mean, she has bent over backwards to help me out, do everything for me, and make this all as easy as possible on me. I can't thank her enough, and I owe her big time. If you guys have any suggestions, leave a suggestion in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. Definitely need to do something big for her after all this is over and I can get moving around again. She definitely deserves it. She's been absolutely wonderful. Take advantage of your partner, and in a good way. They're there to help you and they want to help you. So don't try to do too much for yourself, especially those first couple of days. You need the help. Trust me. Like, could I have done it by myself? Probably. Could I have hurt myself trying to? Absolutely. And is it worth it? No. Your partner's there to help you, and let them be there for you. So one product that I hadn't thought of, but luckily Lindsay and I both kind of realized that we might need, is a portable urinal. So those first couple of days, getting up and getting out of bed in a timely manner is not going to be easy. And depending on how much pain you're in, you might not even be able to do it by yourself. So what happens if you have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom and you can't? That could be a big problem. So having a portable urinal is really a lifesaver, and thankfully I've not had to use it. I've been able to control my bladder and get up in a timely manner and make my way to the bathroom and all that. It's a nice safety net, I guess you could call it. So that about wraps it up for this video. Got a couple more days and I'll be going for my post-op surgery follow-up with my doctor. And I'm super excited to see him again and see how things are progressing. Hopefully he'll give me some good news and tell me that I'm not going to be on crutches as long as he originally talked about. Before surgery, I was looking at 2 weeks on crutches and then start the process of weaning myself off and getting back to walking again. Once they got in there and did all the digging on my kneecap, they told me more like 6 weeks. And that was just a shocker to me. Being on crutches for 6 weeks wasn't even a thought I could have possibly had, and I really hope that's not the case. So keep my fingers crossed that things have been improving and that they're moving along, and maybe I won't need to be on crutches for so long. We'll be posting another update soon that talks about the post-surgery follow-up and how things are continuing to progress. We hope you stick with us, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Or if you know somebody that might benefit from this video or this series of videos, be sure to share it with them. That's why we're doing this. It's not just for us and for our channel. It's trying to get something out there for anybody that might be going through this and wants to see what it's really like. Not the sugar-coated version that you see on the fancy doctor videos, but what it's actually like going through this day by day and week by week.